Hello and welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all the masterpieces and trash-to-pieces, I'll emphasise on trash-to-pieces, of genre cinema. And I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And I don't want to fucking talk about these films.
I feel drained.
We've covered some shit on this podcast. I want to watch Spice World again. So, this week's Chris's choice, remember that. Want to tell them what we're talking about?
So, this week I decided that I couldn't choose between these two films. So I decided to do the double billing that helped create the Golden Raspberry Awards in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Xanadu and Can't Stop the Music. And we've just watched both of them back to back. And Jesus Christ, I don't know how people did it back in
3.5 hours of pure bullshit.
3.5 hours.
Okay, so, I mean, let's face it, these two films are incredibly camp. We are two gay guys. We should be absolutely living for these films. No.
No.
Absolutely fucking not.
Awful.
Spice World was more empowering than these two put together. And Nat had the Spice Girls dancing to Gary Glitter.
Oh, this was a 99 cents double bill,
Fucking
and that was
much.
a rip-off. Absolute rip-off. I wouldn't give you 10 pence to watch these films back to back at the cinema. Oh my god.
Yes, the year of 1980.
Oh.
The year the Razzies were created because of these two pieces of shit films. The year that The Shining was nominated for Razzies in the same fucking awards ceremony as these films. It doesn't make any sense.
So how we're going to go about this episode is that we're just going to quickly skim through both films.
I wish we could have done that when we were watching them.
Yeah. We're going to quickly skim through them, and we're just going to talk about like key themes or whatever of the films, if there even is any fucking
Spoiler
themes.
alert, one of these films is the worst film of all time in my eyes. One of these films, and I'm not going to say which one it is just yet, but we'll start off with fucking Xanadu. So, Xanadu, released in 1980, directed by Robert Greenwald with a $20 million budget. Well, both of these films have a $20 million budget, which is fucking amazing considering they...
It's crazy.
Yeah. The script was actually written for this film whilst it was being filmed. And
it certainly fucking was.
Oh yeah, and one of the screenwriters was actually held to ransom for 3 days against his will because he wasn't delivering properly. Yeah. And it's the final film of Gene Kelly. How sad.
Gene Kelly.
How tragic.
Legendary Hollywood entertainer. This was his final film, and I would say he's, for me, probably the second best part of the film. Xanadu, for all its faults, has a cracking soundtrack.
Yeah, by Electric Light Orchestra. The soundtrack is a million times better than the film itself.
Absolutely bangers throughout.
Well, this wasn't even a soundtrack for Xanadu. This was just an ELO album, and then they wrote the song Xanadu for the film.
Yeah, essentially. The ELO were writing some songs for a new album. They must have had, somebody say, oh, will you write songs for this new film called Xanadu? They just used what they already had, and then obviously wrote the soundtrack, the title song for the film itself. So, for all its faults, cracking soundtrack. But let's get into it. Story is Michael Beck from the Warriors fame, just come off the Warriors. He's a struggling artist who's
opens up a nightclub.
Well, yeah, essentially not much happens in this film plot-wise. There's not much plot to speak of. He's a struggling artist. He's painting commercial paintings.
He's like
doing big versions of album covers.
It does. His job doesn't really make much sense, but the film opens with him ripping up a picture he drew, and he's being self-deprecating, because that's all he does for an entire film. He either slags himself off or slags someone else off. He's just moody,
very angry,
miserable, angry for the entire film. He's not likable in the slightest. But he rips this picture up, and the picture flies off and brings a painting to life.
So there's a mural on a wall somewhere, really ugly painting as well. Does not look good. And this paper makes it come to life, and these women do lots of twirling. Olivia Newton John appears. She's your main woman that's twirling in floaty dresses. I'm not really sure what sort of dance they're trying to do.
Her first attempt at a lead role. Good going, Olivia.
Yeah, poor Olivia Newton John. It's the first time and only time that she got single top billing for a film. Obviously, after this big flop, she was never given one again.
Olivia Newton John, of course, of Grease fame, just in case anybody...
Yeah, I don't think we needed to explain that.
Yeah, so then she gets a roller skates on, and she goes and gives Sonny, our lead guy, she goes and gives him a kiss, and then that makes him obsessed with her.
Yeah, it's a bit... Film's full of sort of random acts like that, where she just ran. I don't know why they're skating throughout the film.
No,
I don't get that. I was skating big at the time. Was it in fashion?
Well, I mean, this is obviously the 1980. This is coming off the 70s, when I'm sure rollerblading and disco and shit like that was quite big.
Yeah, so this
it feels very much like a 70s film, and both of these films do.
Yeah, very much so. But she plants a kiss on him. He becomes a little obsessed with her. There's an album cover that he's doing some big version of, and she appears on it.
Her face just appears.
No one knows why she appears on it.
One thing we forgot to mention is this first scene with all the ladies from the painting doing the twirling. It contains two things that comes about in this film quite often. Terrible special effects. Like, I mean, the worst special effects I've ever seen in a film. It's just, digital-wise, it's just... I don't even know how to explain it. It just looks so cheap.
Yeah.
And it also goes on for way too long. It feels like it goes on for about 5 to 10 minutes, which is a recurring theme. Every single music sequence in this film goes on for so long. But yeah, so he gets obsessed with her, moans about his work life a bit, gets given the album cover, and then he goes searching for Olivia Newton John. He speaks to one guy who tries pimping his daughters out to him. He's like, "Oh, you're single. These are my daughters." And he's like, "Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know this blonde bird you're talking about, but here's my daughters.
Here's my daughters. Give them a go."
Tonight.
So he then meets Gene Kelly on a beach, playing some sort of...
it's a clarinet.
It's a clarinet, apparently. And, meets him, has a quick chat with him. Then he spots her again. He spots Olivia. And he gets on someone's bike. He borrows it off him. Says, "Oh, I'll bring it right back," and whatnot. And then he crashes it and falls into the sea.
Yeah, he's like, "Can I borrow your bike?" She's like, "Yeah, sure can, man."
Yeah, it's like...
like, okay.
Yeah, okay, stranger, take my bike.
Yeah.
And then there's no, like, repercussion for him crashing it either.
No.
It just happens. He literally laughs it off.
He crashes it into the sea.
He crashes into the sea. Like, that could be a serious injury. And he's like, "Ha God."
I was like, "Oh, silly you.
Oh, dear.
Oh, what are you up to?"
Then he continues his search straight after. You know, no time for rest, even though you've just been in a motorbike crash on a bike that doesn't belong to you. Goes and finds a rundown fucking building, warehouse, whatever. And Olivia Newton John's in there skating around.
Yeah, so it's some rundown... Well, they say it's condemned. No trespassing, condemned building. It don't look too bad from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, that's soon...
But it's where the album cover photo was taken. with her out front, and he goes in and she's dancing away or skating away to Magic. One of the songs from the album Magic from ELO, and she's just practicing away. He says, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I'm just practicing with skating."
Yeah, that soon finishes. Doesn't go anywhere. I'm surprised. Do you know what? We are skimming over this, but genuinely, this is what happens. This is how random this film is.
We haven't actually cut anything out. There's just
We're about half an hour into the film at this point.
There's nothing to say.
This is genuinely every plot point in this film. So then he goes to Gene Kelly's house. Gene Kelly starts bragging about his career in his big house.
So Gene Kelly tried to make it as a musician playing the clarinet. He's a big Glenn Miller fan, and I think it's reference to him having played for Glenn Miller. Glenn Miller obviously being the big sort of band leader or whatever he was back in the day, mysteriously disappeared without a trace, if I remember correctly.
But he probably watched this film and then just
It was way before this film. But turns out that Gene Kelly is rich.
Yeah.
Not through music, but through construction. He's a builder. He owns a construction company or something.
We should know. It goes on about it for about 20 minutes.
He does a little bit.
And then we realise that Gene Kelly's actually some sort of psychopath, because as soon as Sonny leaves his house, he just sits there talking to himself, and then we get 10 minutes of tap dancing.
So Gene Kelly has a flashback, doesn't he, to the war.
Yeah.
And
turns out he knows Olivia Newton John as well.
This is part I don't get this. So he has a flashback to a woman that he was in love with back in the war. She is played by Olivia Newton John.
I think that is meant to be the same person, and I'd explain the ending when she comes back as the barmaid. So I think she just appears throughout time. I mean, I don't fucking know. I ain't even going to try explaining this shit. It makes no sense.
So he has a flashback. They have a lovely little tap dancing scene. It does go on a bit, this tap dancing scene.
Which tap dancing scene do you prefer? This one or the one we watched in the Fred Astaire film that was in Joker? What's that film called?
Shall We Dance?
Yeah, which one do you prefer?
Well, obviously I prefer...
And why do you prefer Shall We Dance?
Obviously I prefer Shall We Dance with Fred Astaire. But Gene Kelly's a fantastic dancer. Fantastic. Even if he's old age, he's a wonderful entertainer. And you can't take away from that. He is a wonderful dancer. This scene just felt so long, though. Olivia Newton-John, she's not really known to be a dancer. She's alright, she's passable.
Yeah,
she's well... in the scene.
Yeah, we found it was imagining it was just a fantasy thing, whatever. His furniture reappears, because his furniture disappears when he does this tap dancing thing. It reappears, that scene's finished. And then we have a scene that actually made me jump more than any horror film has this year.
Oh, this is one where she's randomly skulking in
like
the background.
A recreation of the Blair Witch Project. We get a shot of Sonny doing his painting, and then all of a sudden it cuts away, and it cuts back. This is like something James Wan would do in one of his films. It cuts back, and you don't even realise at first, but there's fucking Olivia Newton-John in the background, standing, staring at the wall, like she's fucking possessed. Yeah. And honestly, I nearly jumped out of my seat. It was terrifying. I've literally got in my notes, Olivia Newton-John is Michael Myers. She, after this, she sneaks up on him out of nowhere whilst he's painting, and he's not fazed by this. But it's from this point onwards, I couldn't look at her in the same way. I looked at her like some sort of slasher villain. She's terrifying in this film. I'm sure I should have been there like, yeah, slay me, Olivia Newton-John, but instead I was like, fucking hell, she's terrifying.
And that's the thing. Olivia Newton-John is a complete slay queen, and we love her. Well, I love her.
No, I do love Olivia Newton-John, but
in this film, I mean, until the very end, the only outfits she wears are like really floaty. I don't even know how to describe them. I think she's trying to look Greek, like a Greek goddess, like a muse. That
spoiler alert, that's what she is.
Excuse me. But she don't slay until the very end.
No.
She says to this is an interesting.
Really?
Well, no.
Were you watching the same film as me?
There is an interesting part, but she says to him, "Oh, it must be frustrating to spend your time on something that doesn't matter much to you." And I feel like this is the message the film's trying to give. Is essentially about doing your own thing, making your dreams come true. Artistic integrity, but then you have a story like the screenwriter being locked in a room for 3 days because he's not producing the work fast enough. Well, that's not artistic integrity.
No.
This film cannot say anything about artistic integrity.
Well, we get a sequence after this. Originally, he says it's a recording studio. Then he says it's a film studio. So I assume he must have meant film studio in the first place, because it's a fucking weird building with this little control panel, and they press all the buttons randomly, and then somehow we get a musical sequence with all these different props and everything working conveniently at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
But during this musical sequence, when it's meant to be the two of them singing...
It's not.
Is it not?
No, because I said at the time...
It's definitely her singing.
It's definitely her singing, definitely ONJ singing. But Michael Beck doesn't sing at all in this film.
Okay.
By all accounts, he can't sing, and was never intended to sing.
But wouldn't it make more sense if they were lip-syncing in the scene?
If they were at least lip-syncing. Turns out it's Cliff Richard singing in that song.
Fuck off.
Cliff Richard and Olivia Newton John. So you've got this weird scene where Olivia Newton John is singing, but her lips aren't moving because they're skating to a song from the soundtrack. If you're gonna do that, get another female singer, because we know Olivia Newton John's voice, so it just looks like she's singing but her lips aren't moving.
Well, the sequence ends with Sonny's boss coming in, and they're outside. There's no way you could have seen them. They could have got away quite easily. And he's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And Olivia Newton-John's like, "Oh, we're here. It was him. He did it." And I wrote down, these two are a fucking nightmare together. You got her ratting him out to his boss, getting him into shit, and then you got him. He's just being miserable again and moaning about shit.
He seems to have this issue with his boss, but the boss just wants him to get on with his work. It's like somebody going into work every day, doing their 9 to 5, constantly complaining about it, constantly telling everyone that will listen that what they're doing for a living is a big pile of shit. And then suddenly being annoyed that actually the manager wants you to shut the fuck up and get on with your work. Again, just this idea that this Sonny guy is some pained artist who's dying to break free from the chains of commercialism.
Well, he has a great business proposal and takes Gene Kelly into the abandoned warehouse or whatever it is, and gives him a bit of a property proposal. Like, hey, do you know what? We could put a nightclub together here.
Well, Gene Kelly's... So, it's this idea of dreams. So, Sonny's dream is to become a real artist and create his vision. And then Gene Kelly's dream is to open a nightclub or a venue similar to the one that he had during the war, where he played the clarinet with Glenn Miller, so and such forth. And so that's the two dreams. ONJ, Olivia Newton-John, I'll refer to her as ONJ from now on. She says, well, why don't you bring those two dreams together?
Yeah.
Have my place, this condemned place where she practices her skating, and create a nightclub. Is it a fucking nightclub? I don't. Or
It's meant to be.
just a performance venue. I don't
Well,
know what it is.
This leads to a lovely sequence where they can't decide whether they want the venue to include... The venue that hasn't even been fucking built yet. They can't decide if they want it to include big band music from the 50s or if they want to include modern day 80s rock music. This leads to two separate sequences. One where Gene Kelly starts explaining that you see a big band performing, and then you get Sonny discussing it, and we get to see some sort of Motley Crue rip-off, if they're even a thing by this point.
They
some
wouldn't have been,
big
no.
rock band rip-off.
It's like
performing it.
crazy little thing called Love.
Yeah, and so it goes in between it a couple of times, and next minute you get a full fucking 10-minute sequence of these two bands going in between each other, and just when you think it can't get any worse, they combine and they put both music on at the same time, and it just sounds like a fucking nightmare. It is just one big mess, and it doesn't fit at all.
Yeah, so you get this girl group that are like Powerpuff Girls. Wasn't there?
The Powerpuff Girls, if Diana Ross was the front woman.
Yeah, so there's one's blonde, one's got black hair, and one's got ginger hair. And they're doing some sort of 1940s performance, big band music, and then you've got the rockers in their leather jackets with crazy
being
hair
really
and
sexual.
makeup. Yeah, being highly sexual, and they're both on two sort of stages, and then physically the stages come together and sort of merge into one. It's very, very basic, sort of visual device to show the two coming together.
Lucky enough, after we had to sit through all of that, Gene Kelly's like, yeah, do you know what, fuck it, let's do it. Like, oh, thank God, if you'd said no after we had to watch that, I'd have been fucking fuming. We get one of the incredible transitions that we get throughout the film. We get another scene in that club, and now Olivia Newton John's some sort of ghost, and she just fades into the shot.
Yeah.
She just fades in. It's a fucking stupid transition effect. And she tells Gene to call the club Xanadu.
Yeah, so they're looking for somewhere, for a name for the venue, and she comes in and she starts quoting the I always struggle to pronounce this, the Kubla Khan, which is a poem about Xanadu, and Xanadu almost sort of being a heavenly place, and so yeah, she's like, call it Xanadu. Yeah,
and then Sonny goes off on a mad one. He goes to his workplace. He sacks himself. Instead of just saying, I quit, he was like, I want to have a word with you. To his boss, and is like, I'm fired. And then, like...
He acts a pure knob in that scene.
He does.
Doesn't
Then he walks out. He has one sip of alcohol. Then he tries it on with Olivia. It's like, calm the fuck down. I remember when I had my first beer. So he had a sip, tries it on with her. She's a bit hesitant at first. But then... she snogs him, and we get an animated sequence, a really unneeded animated sequence that I think may have been a metaphor for sex.
I don't really get it.
Well, they turn into fish, and then they turn into birds, and then they turn back into human beings.
Yeah, and then one a rose, and it's to Don't Walk Away, which is a great song. But that animated sequence makes no sense. It's really cheap as well, really cheap animated sequence.
Well, as if it couldn't get any worse, we then get a fashion montage. Before we do though, when they're walking up to the shop that they're taking Gene Kelly to get some new clothes, there's a bit of laughing that is so out of place. Like, you can see their mouths, you see they're not moving, and yet they put this laughing over the top that's meant to be them.
Yeah, it's not sinking.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's the 80s.
Yeah.
You get a getting dressed montage in the shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
So these mannequins come to life, and they
just start wrecking the place.
Yeah,
they fucking
do a bit. They're just flapping around everywhere and kicking and dancing, and Gene Kelly's trying on really ugly suits. Looks like Paul Lynde, and yeah, All Over the World is the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really much to say,
if I was
to be
that
fair, it's
shopkeeper, I'd just be like, get the fuck out of here, what are you doing? No one even tries to stop them.
It's like Primark on a Saturday afternoon.
All our American
It
listeners are
also
like, what the fuck
includes
are you
Gene
talking
Kelly
about?
in a pinball machine as well, for some reason. Don't know why he's in a pinball machine.
Anyway. So then Olivia gets a bit dramatic and is like, oh, I was only sent here to tell you to call the club Xanadu. And then she reveals she's a Greek goddess. The TV starts talking to Sonny. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's a really contrived way of her explaining to him. So essentially she shows that she's a muse and she's one of the daughters of Zeus. And by taking over the TV.
Yeah.
And having characters in some sort of old gangster film.
That she's in.
Of course. Start talking to him. And then she gets the dictionary changed, don't she?
Yeah, she changed the dictionary for him.
Like, do you believe me? I'm a muse. Okay, cool.
Then she disappears. And then we get Sony having a breakdown. Goes for a sad roller skate, and then roller skates into the wall from the start of the film with the painting on.
Oh, that mural, yeah.
Then we get a really exciting sequence of him talking to Zeus, who's her dad, of course.
Oh yeah, it looks like really cheap Tron, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're just in a black background.
Black background with some like
a few little lights,
neon lights and shit.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I will not leave until you're coming with me, Olivia Newton John. And then you get, this is a weird one. I think they're called like heavenly voices in the credits.
Really? Not just called Zeus and Zeus's wife?
No, considering Olivia Newton John has explained that she's the daughter of Zeus and the muses.
He actually calls him Zeus.
Yeah. But in the credits, it's called male heavenly voice, or male voice from above, and female voice from above. And I find that strange, because why don't you just call him Zeus?
Whatever the fucking voices were, they're incredibly boring. And
one of them sounds like Wallace from Wallace and Gromit.
Well, Sonny's like, yeah, she's coming with me. Zeus is like, no, she ain't. It's like, alright then. And then we get Olivia having a mandatory musical solo sad song.
Oh, come on, sad solo.
And to accompany this musical sequence is Olivia Newton-John standing in one spot.
Yeah, it's
not doing anything.
Desperately trying to be hopelessly devoted to you.
From Greece.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of our listeners may not have seen Grease. I'd rather be watching fucking Grease than this.
I was going to say, if you haven't, you should.
Yeah, if you haven't, watch Grease, don't watch this.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a sad song. And then after that, Zeus was so pissed off that he had to sit for the entirety of that song, like we were. He's like, do you know what? Just fucking go, Olivia. So I don't want you here anymore. Just fuck off.
I think that is my least favourite song from the soundtrack, to be fair.
And then even her mum was like, yeah, do you know what? You should go. See ya. And then, she leaves. Then we get Xanadu, basically looking like a glorified gay bar with skates.
It don't look that nice. Really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm judging by our local gay bars.
Yeah, no, but I mean, in the sense of it's meant to be this visionary place.
Well, everyone looks like they're in a fucking cult in there. They're all skating around shouting, Xanadu! Xanadu!
But it looks like a local disco, really.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of the room, there's some flashy stage. And then there's a bar that looks like a normal bar. Like some booths and stuff. But that's it. There's a lot of open space in there.
Imagine a smoking area in that place.
Oh.
Do you think it would be like the collie on a Saturday night? Do you think you'd go out there and people would be like, oh mate, could I buy a fag off you for £1?
Probably.
On the fucking roller skates trying to buy cigarettes off you.
It just don't look that good. It's very disappointing.
So, Olivia turns up in the best moment of the film, in her best outfit, slaying the game.
Yeah, well, can I ask a few questions that probably don't have any answers?
Is it about the smoking area?
No, it's not about the smoking area. Is every patron there a professional dancer?
It seems that way.
Because are they trying to make money off this place? Because everybody seems to be ready and prepped for a choreographed dance routine.
Yeah, they all know it.
Yeah, there's no random people. There's no hen party in the corner. So I don't know how they're making any money if they just paid all these dancers to be there. Also, there was no reference to it ever being a roller disco.
No.
So I don't get why they're constantly on roller skates.
Everyone just turned up with the skates conveniently.
Yeah, everyone just turned up in roller skates.
Everyone turned up dressed like a twat as well. That was obviously all planned.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Olivia turns up. They sing the film's main theme, which
absolute banger.
Best moment of the film. The
Best
only reason
moment of the film. This is the reason this film doesn't get a 1-star
Yeah, this is the reason it gets a 2-star rating.
This is why it gets a 2-star rating.
But then, you just think it's about to finish, the song's all done, then all of a sudden, she starts fucking tap dancing again. Then we get her in some sort of tiger suit, which, yes, that was giving me life. I was living for that. But
Good.
then she was dressed as Dolly Parton. And then, I don't understand. And then it just went back to the song again.
Yeah, if it had just ended on the song, sloppy kiss at the end, Gene Kelly's happy, end of film, that would have been great.
Well, even when the song finishes, it's still not the end of the film, because we get to see, because you haven't seen enough of it, Sonny moaning and being miserable again.
Yeah.
Turns out it was all in his imagination, the whole dance sequence. And then Olivia Newton John turns up, and she's a waitress now.
Yeah, and then they have a smooch and the credits roll.
Yeah, that's it.
That is the film.
2 stars, not even a love heart. Just shit.
Yeah.
Listen to the soundtrack, don't watch the film.
Listen to the soundtrack. The soundtrack did well. I mean, this film bombed. It did not do very well. But Magic from the soundtrack, which it wasn't featured in a scene necessarily, it didn't really have a sequence. She was just sort of skating to it, not really a routine. But that was number 1 in America. Xanadu, the song, was number 1 in the UK for 2 weeks. The album went to number 2 here. So the music did well. The film was shit.
Well, I mean, a prime example of that is the fact that we, the podcast that takes an hour and a half to discuss one film, I've just finished talking about this film within half an hour.
Exactly. Because this film had nothing to it.
None of it made sense.
Absolutely no substance whatsoever. It was stupid.
Yeah.
And I literally, I have nothing to say about it anymore because nothing happened.
What Razzies did it get nominated? Did it win any? It invented them, so I should hope so.
It was nominated for worst film, obviously.
Did it win?
No. It was nominated for worst actress for Olivia Newton John. It was nominated for worst actor for Michael Beck. Fortunately, it wasn't nominated for worst supporting actor, actually, because I do feel like Gene Kelly was the second best part of this. It won for worst director.
Understandable.
Yeah, and it was nominated for worst original song.
Oh, fuck off, that's not.
For Suspended in Time.
Oh, okay, maybe then, yeah.
So I think Suspended in Time is the one I didn't really like.
Was that her solo song?
Her mopey dopey solo
Vanessa Hudgens in High School Musical song.
Yeah.
Where she has a sad moment.
Yeah, a sad moment. So it only actually won 1 for worst director.
Wow.
So that was
Did our next masterpiece win any?
Our next film won Fuckloads. Was nominated for Fuckloads.
Spoiler alert. This is the film I was talking about. Can't Stop the Music is the worst film of all time. Don't watch it. Listen to this. Don't watch it. It's dog shit. End of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Rate, review, subscribe. Honestly, if I could end it right now, I would. This is fucking bullshit.
At least Xanadu had the decency to be an hour and a half.
This film is apparently a documentation on the life of the village people.
It's right. What do you call it? It's been put down on
Bullshit, that's what it
IMDb as a biography.
Yeah, no, the plot is
a biography of the village people.
The plot says it's a documentation of the village people.
It is not a fucking documentation of the village people.
This is a documentation of how you should fuck your way to the top, and that's how you get famous. The end. That's all this film's about.
I don't even know where to start with this
Again,
film.
20 million budget somehow. Directed by Nancy Walker. She made fuck all else, unsurprisingly.
Fun fact. Nancy Walker, this was advertised as being the first movie musical with over a $1 million budget directed by a woman. And Nancy Walker had a 3-picture contract. Spoiler alert. She didn't direct anything after this.
Oh yeah, you did all trivia on this one. What other fun facts have you got for us?
This was a massive bomb at the box office, and her contract was rescinded. They were like, no, I'm sorry, you're not allowed.
Didn't one of the village
direct
people actually
anymore.
throw the script across the room?
Now, 1980 wasn't the best year for Olivia Newton John, although she had a number 1 singles, but movie wise, because she turned down the lead in Can't Stop the Music.
Wow.
So she was fucked either way.
Yeah.
Others who were considered for the role of Samantha, who was the main role in the film, were Jacqueline Bisset, Cher, and Raquel Welch. Imagine Cher in this shit.
Oh, dear.
Choreography was by Arlene Phillips. Our UK listeners will know her from Strictly Come Dancing. She was the main judge for a few years. Location shooting in New York was complicated by gay activists protesting Cruising, which was filming nearby. The two productions were mistaken for each other more than once.
Cruising is a far better film than this. Let's just put it out there. And that includes Al Pacino fisting someone.
He didn't fist anyone in that film.
Did he not? Who got fisted?
Some randomer in the background.
Oh, wait, it contains fisting in it. It's still better than this.
this.
We'll talk about it one day.
Do you know what? This film could have benefited from a little bit of fisting.
I thought we were going to get it at one point.
Fair.
And it wouldn't surprise me. It would have been the least shocking thing in this film.
Yeah. In later years, and this is something I will talk about, in later years, some members of the village people said they disliked the way the film distorted the formation of the group. It barely even fucking featured it. And toned down the gay subculture aspects.
Well, yeah, because it's really homophobic.
It is, we'll get more into that, actually, because it's a big reason why I don't like this film.
This is a film about a gay group, but a lot of it is really fucking homophobic.
And just, completely ignored.
And if it was the fact that it was showing the struggles of the village people being a gay group in those times, when there was less diversity and it was more frowned upon, then I'd understand it. But it's not. It's just characters. He's made up characters randomly being really homophobic. It doesn't add to it.
There are moments.
There's one moment.
There are weird. There is one moment.
One moment where they're talking about their career and how it's not what a standard American family would want to see and whatever.
Yeah.
That's more along the tone of what I'd expect. Bruce Jenner randomly storming out of a performance of theirs because he doesn't agree with it. That's not what I was expecting. But let's get into it, and we'll get to that in a second. Take in mind before we start this is a fucking PG. That will be important soon. So it starts off in the most 70s way possible with more roller skates.
Yeah, so Steve Guttenberg of Police Academy and 3 Men and a Baby fame.
Was he in Steve
Guttenberg?
Yeah, he probably was.
Steve Guttenberg, he was big in the 80s, post this film.
I don't know how.
I don't know how. This should have destroyed his career. So he can't get the night off. He works at a record store, so he quits and starts skating down a New York road, right in the middle of the fucking road.
Yeah, there's so much wrong with this opening sequence that I couldn't even fit it all on paper. It's just...
Yeah. The soundtrack is an awful, really fucking awful song about why the singer loves New York. Yeah.
I don't mind disco music, but in this film, the fucking disco music pissed me off so much.
Yeah, it's a disco musical set during the dying days of disco. Steve Guttenberg gets spanked by an old woman with a baguette.
Yeah.
Valerie Perrine. No, I hope I've pronounced that surname correctly. Perrine. Well, she plays Sam. And she's also strutting down New York streets.
Mm-hmm.
So she's our lead. So this was either going to be Cher or Raquel Welch or Olivia Newton John.
Well, her first meeting with Jack, he fat shames her. Starts talking about how fat she is. But she really embraces it, though. I mean, fair enough. Good. But
No, the whole idea is that she's a top model. She's America's next top model. But she's decided to retire, and therefore she can eat whatever she likes.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. That's why he calls her Miss Piggy.
Funny way to go about it still, but okay.
So Steve Guttenberg and Sam, they have some sort of friendship.
Because I was confused about this, I wrote down he is a house sitter, but then he becomes like a little brother to her.
Yeah, so I don't know if the whole idea is that Steve Guttenberg's character is
her gay best
homosexual.
friend.
Yeah, a gay best friend, and that the whole gay thing is ignored.
Do you know they don't say gay once in this film?
No, they don't. No, of course they don't.
Come on, 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, visuals say enough as it is. So, the Native American village person breaks into a flat. It's less sinister than it sounds, but
yeah, so
politely breaks into a flat.
He's a friend, and he's suddenly in her apartment when they get back, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here? How did you get in?" "Oh, I just crept through the window." She's like, "Oh, you."
Yeah, then Jack's going on about this fucking mixtape of his or whatever.
So he writes music, disco music, and he's gonna be a big star one day.
Then we get because he tells her that he's doing this club night, asks her to go along and have a listen. She happily accepts.
Yes, she does. Yeah, she's
after a
not
while.
working anymore.
No, and then
she's looking after her houseplants.
We get an insight at a cocaine-fueled 70s sexual disco.
Yeah, so it's a disco where everyone's just sort of grinding up against each other.
It looks like a fucking nightmare.
And this Sam, she's really surprisingly quite popular with all the men. Clearly homosexual men.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're grinding.
Oh, but because it's the 80s, we have to have these homosexual men being sexual with women and giving them like little winks here and there. And it's like, okay, yeah, you clearly have no interest in them.
And Steve Guttenberg wrote a song for Samantha. Samantha.
I'm glad you paid this much attention to the lyrics. I didn't get any of this.
Keeps going Samantha. Samantha. Awful. Fucking awful. She's like rubbing her fanny up against some homosexual's leg and Samantha.
Anyway, so he wants his music noticed. Sam is really happy with this Samantha song, and she says that she wants to, help him make it and whatever. But then he's like, no, how could you? He's like, he doubts her.
No. The idea is that she's, being an America's Next Top Model, she shagged a few record execs in her time, so she's got quite a few connections for Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah.
This
gets elaborated
essentially, on. Yeah, that's essentially what she says, is that, oh, if you want your music heard, I actually really enjoyed that Samantha song.
Yeah.
And, I'd love to help you with your career.
So she goes round, she realises he can't sing. She wastes no time telling him that. And then she gets an ice cream from Baskin Robbins.
She does.
Who also, coincidentally, Baskin Robbins released their own flavour ice cream to tie in with this film, and it's called Can't Stop the Nuts.
Can't Stop the Nuts. Can't Stop the Nuts.
I often think with our film taste and our music taste, the 80s would have been a good time to be around. But then you realise there is a film about a gay group that exists where the word gay isn't mentioned once, there's a bit of homophobic abuse in it, and there's gay men trying it on with straight women, and an ice cream tie-in called Can't Stop the Nuts.
Can't Stop the Nuts.
I'm fucking glad I wasn't alive in 1980.
I would have paid my 99
Holy shit.
cents and went to watch this double bill.
And then asked for a refund.
Yeah.
Can't stop the fucking nuts. Anyway, so she has this ice cream and it lasts for about 3 hours as she goes round to all the different village people, apart from 2 of them, because we don't get to see it until an hour in. She goes around the rest of them and starts trying to get them to sing Jack's shitty fucking music.
Yeah, so she randomly, like...
It's like Gay Avengers, and she's Nick Fury.
The street, and then she's like, oh, I know someone who'd be perfect for this group.
Yeah, it is Gay Avengers.
Yeah.
So, the...
Construction work.
Yeah,
so
the worst part about this is the fucking construction worker.
So she ends up at the construction worker village person, and unfortunately... he gets a solo song. I don't know why.
He gets a solo song where he keeps telling all these women that he loves them to death. And it's like... He says before this that his job is to sing product placement songs. It's like, I can't sing one song without this product placement. Okay, where the fuck was the product placement in the song? He only sang I Love You to Death over and over again.
And these women, like, were dressed in red dresses with, like... slits up the side. They were all sort of the same dress.
Yeah.
And he's like caressing them and kissing them and loving them to death. I'm like, if you're gonna be a gay film, be a fucking gay film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this film goes
shit.
This completely goes against anything that I'm sure the village people would have worked hard to promote.
Exactly.
Then we get a really odd sequence of events. We get the baguette spanking woman again.
Yeah.
She smacks some woman.
So it's Samantha's agent, who I don't know, is she meant to be the villain of the film?
I don't think anyone's meant to. The characters in this film, it's like a random jukebox.
It's really
They have different personalities every few seconds. So this woman, she spanks her and then she gives her a baguette back. Next minute we get introduced to Bruce Jenner and he's watching across the road and this old lady gets run over. And then he goes over to help her. She gets up and she's like, you fucking piece of shit, give me your money. She holds him up with a gun and robs him. Doesn't want to take his cake that he's got, and then she drives off on the bike with the guy who ran her over, and this is all within the space of a couple of seconds. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
From this point on, I couldn't make many notes because the film went at 180 miles per hour. From this point onwards, it was so much fast talking, cutting in between scenes, random shit. None of it made any sense, and I lost track. My brain couldn't process it all.
So Bruce Jenner gets robbed at gunpoint by this old lady, and it's meant to be funny, meant to be a comedy scene, I'm assuming. And when he explains to people in the next scene, they're like, "Oh, that's New York for you." Well, at the beginning of the film, you're saying about how great New York is.
Yeah.
You have a whole fucking song dedicated to how great New York is. And they're like, oh, that's New York. You get robbed at gunpoint by old ladies.
Well, amongst this madness, there is one thing I couldn't help but notice that really stood out amongst everything that was going on. Is a character called Lulu, who is probably the most horny character I've ever seen in any film. She is wanting to try it on with fucking everybody.
Yeah. A terrible actress.
She's also a drug addict. And again, this is a PG, right? She's offering Sony a joint, and she's going on about all these different drugs and everything.
You're getting your films mixed up, hun.
Am I?
Steve Guttenberg. You said Sonny.
Oh, fuck's sake. I'm finally descending into madness. What's his name? Jack. Yeah, so she offers Jack some weed. It goes on about other drugs and whatever. He happily accepts. In a fucking PG, they take drugs. She's going on about everyone she wants to fuck and everything, and especially the Native American. And she doesn't refer to him as a Native American. There's a bit of cultural appropriation going on here.
They do, but this is at a sign of the times, really, because even during the band's sort of popular period, they always refer to him as the Indian. Well, we don't say Indian anymore, we say Native American.
Well, they host some sort of dinner party. Now, take in mind, the village people are there, meant to be rehearsing, just to demonstrate that they can sing this song that Jax wrote for them. That's all. A nice, quiet little performance. Fucking lead girl, Samantha, she invites the whole fucking neighbourhood over for a dinner party to witness this.
Lasagna on the menu.
Get some lasagna on the go. And Jack's mum turns up, starts talking shit about fate and everything. And then somehow they have no rehearsal, but the village people she's gathered together, they all know this song. They know the dance routine. They know all the lyrics off by heart. I mean, they perform the song. Lulu's still sexually harassing everyone. And then Bruce Jenner, he gets really pissed off because he realises they're all gay. And he's like, oh, this is disgusting. I don't agree with this. And he storms out.
Yeah, and it's so strange. Number one, I don't understand why he turns up with a cake. That's not actually explained who he is or why he's there. But then he's like, I just don't understand how you can associate yourself with these strange characters. Now, obviously, the underlying context is that they're homosexuals.
Yeah.
I mean, they flirt with women like there's no tomorrow. But, you know, we know, they know, we all know. You just can't say it because that would make it an interesting film. And he's like, oh, I just don't know how you can associate these. You're a beautiful, successful woman.
But then at this point, Sam's really empowering. She's like, do you know what? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, fuck you.
Get out of my house. And then the next day, she is this fierce, sexual character who wants to go and speak to her ex, Steve, who owns a record label. And she picks an outfit out that reads Tits and Tears, apparently. Apparently it's time for Tits and Tears.
Yeah.
So she goes to Steve, who has some sort of phone fetish. He has like 1,000 phones around his office.
The whole idea is that they broke up because he's constantly on the phone.
Yeah.
He's thinks about his work more than he thinks about anything else. Okay, we get it. Now this idea is hammered in every single scene he's in. It's this constant ringing in the phones. It's like, yeah, we get it. We understand. We know the point you're making.
He starts rubbing the phone up at one point and talking really sexual to it.
There's a little bit.
So she goes there, practically sits on top of him and starts flirting to get a record deal for the village people. And again, this goes against everything we've seen so far with this character. Mm-hmm. She is, all of a sudden, she wants to fuck her way to the top. For the village people, of course. Never kid it for her. So they managed to get him to agree to let them record a demo session. She goes outside. Bruce fucking Jenner's obviously there. Out of nowhere.
No, he's... so Bruce Jenner's character is a tax lawyer. And the taxes are due at the record label. So that's why he's there. He suddenly decides, oh, fuck work for the day. I'm going to go off with Samantha.
Yeah.
And try and get in her pants, basically.
Well, remember that last scene where she was like, oh, do you know what? You're a fucking homophobe. Go fuck yourself. Wow, you can forget about that.
He explains it away by saying he's a Gemini.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't me last night. I'm a Gemini.
I have two personalities.
Oh, what?
And she's like, oh, okay, then I'll go on a date with you. I was like, what? So they go back to, she does a bit of her, getting her legs out for a taxi.
Yeah, that old shtick.
Yeah, then they go back to her place, and Jack's there, you know, being all oblivious and Jack-like. And Bruce Jenner spills a lasagna down him that he gets out of the oven. He has to take his trousers off. Well, they happily remove them for him.
Yeah.
In this PG-rated film, they get a bit saucy with each other.
Yeah, he's like sat on some sort of dentist chair,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't understand why she sits on his lap.
Yeah, and she figures out he's married, and he's like, well, I'm divorced, and she's like, okay.
Yeah, that was sort of a thing that wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And then she gets down on her knees and says the exact line of dialogue, "You sure get up quick," whilst looking at his cock.
Yeah.
So then the lights go out. He says something about it being 80s and trying new stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Then the army village person and the leather village person show up an hour into the film. At this point, I was like, fucking, there's an hour left. I can't believe this shit. So then Bruce is randomly uncomfortable with gay people again. When he's in the room with them, and he's looking all uncomfortable, and then his parents show up.
They're hosting at Bruce's office. He says, "Oh, to make amends, you can hold auditions for the last 2 singers at my office," and so they do. But then he suddenly goes back to being really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With these strange characters.
His parents turn up, and his dad calls them all a disgrace.
Yeah.
Exact words.
Yeah.
His mum makes a comment about them being village people, and just like that, the name's born. They're the village people. I really hope that's not how they really got the name. Yeah, and it's just the homophobia in that scene is kind of like an extra character. You can almost see it. It is so obvious.
But Bruce Jenner's character's not punished for it, and that's the weird part.
But then he then quits his dad's organisation or something like that.
Well, his dad runs the lawyer thing, place, business. Shit. Practice.
Whatever.
The law practice for the taxes. And so he quits that, and he's going to become the lawyer for the village people.
Yeah, so now that he's pro-village people, don't know how long it's going to last, he gets his own crop top, and then he takes them to...
Suddenly...
Because he's quit his dad's lawyer firm.
He's quit his dad's lawyer firm, and because he's not a homophobe anymore, he decides that the best attire for walking down the street is suddenly a crop top and some Daisy Duke shorts.
Mm-hmm. And then he decides to take them to the YMCA. Now,
here's a place for a bit of inspiration for you. Let's go to the YMCA.
Now, we need to talk at length about this scene. This, again, may I repeat, is a PG. This fucking scene looks like the start of some sort of vintage porn. Yeah. It is homoerotic to the extreme, and there is cocks everywhere, floppy and hard. There's even tits. Would you like to elaborate? You spotted the hard cock.
Well, it was hard to miss. Yeah, so essentially we get... Obviously, the YMCA is the village people's biggest hit. It's the only one of their hits that really features in the film. In the Navy and Macho Man don't
so you're
feature.
saying the Milkshake song isn't their big hit?
The fucking Milkshake song is not. So you get... a whole sort of music video for the YMCA. It's the most important song of the film. And it's just them and Samantha running around in this gym. A swimming pool.
Yeah. Jacuzzi.
So they run into the locker room and they're all really excited. And one guy's got his knob out, and he's startled by the sight of Samantha.
No, they've all got their knobs out.
No, but this is the beginning part. He's like, ooh. So they don't end up in the shower, though. You just get a shower scene, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this shower scene, and everyone's all soaped up. And this, in fairness, these are sort of like it doesn't linger too long on these, but it is
long enough.
It's a PG, but it's long enough to see people's bits, including one that was a bit excited to be on camera.
Yeah.
And then they're in a hot tub, and Samantha's got her boobs out.
Yeah. This is a PG, not a 12A. Even a 12A, this would be too much. Normally, if you get in within the UK, with the film age rating system, if there's a slight bit of nudity, it's a 15.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context as well. Because I saw Room with a View, which is a very, very highbrow British production, you know, Merchant Ivory, starring Helena Bonham Carter and Maggie Smith and Judi Dench, you know, based on an Ian Forster novel, and that had knobs in it. Quite prolonged, you know, scene of willies, but it was, you know, high class, lavish, and that was a PG. That was on during the day.
This was honestly, this looked like it was leading into a porno.
Yeah. Oh no. Absolutely.
There was wrestling.
Absolutely.
Bits of wrestling
Very
in it.
homoerotic.
It would. Yeah. I could not believe they got away with this.
But it was so jarring because the rest of the film tried to hide the gay aspect so much that then you get a scene like this and it's like. It's disappointing because.
Well, it's not. Do you know what? No, it's not disappointing. I'm glad the scene was included. And the thing is,
but why wasn't the rest of the film this? If you're gonna be camp, if you're gonna be gay, you know, the Village People are a synonym for camp. The gay acts.
Mm-hmm.
They are. It's them and Elton John. They're up there.
Yeah.
We all know it. Everyone knew it back then. If you're gonna do it, go all out.
What I love about this scene,
fucking, you know, in the closet bullshit.
well, this scene is kind of like the Olivia Newton John jump scare in Xanadu. Like, imagine being straight in the audience in 1980s, like, haha, yes, look at all these homophobic characters. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of cocks. Like, being all gay with each other. They'd have been so pissed off.
I don't understand why. Why they felt the need for that, though, to be fair.
But yeah, so that happens. And then, where do we go next? A lot of notes about this being vintage porn, cocks. Oh, the record label's not interested after the Liberation performance.
Yeah. But if I could just say about that scene again, I'm sorry to linger, but we've been watching quite a few John Waters films recently.
Jesus Christ, I thought you were going to say something else then.
No.
Compared to the porn that we have been watching.
Yeah, no. We've been watching quite a few John Waters films recently. I'm really enjoying them. We love John Waters. We're actually going to go see him on Wednesday.
This episode was originally going to be an episode about John Waters.
It was, yeah. It's such a shame
No,
now.
talking about this shit.
A dirty shame. But but that's how this film maybe should have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all out, balls to the wall.
Literally.
Yeah, but you know, something like a Hairspray that's just camp and fun.
Yeah.
And silly. And this film was none of that because it was a bit shit and way too long.
Well, we got treated to a whole gay music video sequence, and because we were given that privilege, we then get some more homophobia from the record label guy, Steve, who, again, is just disgusted in the Village People after they perform a song for him. He's not interested. So, this leads to Sam getting him a gig with a commercial company, in which they perform the worst song I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Yeah. It starts with them as children, and then it evolves into this thing where they're all dressed in white, advertised in milk, and it's a song where they're talking about do the milkshake, and it's fucking bullshit.
Awful.
It is terrible. It's just... It went on for so long as well, and then it does this thing where you think it's finished and it starts again, and it it was fucking torture to sit through.
It's meant to be a commercial as well. It was really long for
Yeah.
a commercial.
So, Sam was wearing quite a covered up outfit in this video.
Considering she just got her tits out in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next scene is Bruce Jenner telling her that she was too revealing in that video. He doesn't want to know her anymore because she's a slut.
Yeah, basically.
He's like, fuck you. You got all your tits out in that video. Let's all forget the hot tub incident. But yeah. My next note is I just don't give a shit anymore. Still accurate.
I think I stopped writing notes after this part.
Jack and his mum hijack Steve's private jet to force him to give the village people a record deal. Then next minute, he does give them a record deal. They've got this big gig out of nowhere all of a sudden. Everyone all meets up in a dressing room. Steve starts flirting with a reporter that he starts fucking. And Bruce Jenner, after basically slut-shaming Sam in that last scene for wearing a really covered-up outfit, asks Sam to marry him. You know, Sam, who he met a few days ago, says yeah. Yeah, she forgives him. You know, great message to give people watching this film. Yeah. And then...
Yeah, women don't come off very well in this film.
No, they're just all fucking their way to the top.
They're either a bitch like Sam's agent.
Mm-hmm.
They're either, sexual predators like Lola. The reporter, obviously the reporter's not in it too much, but that reporter was like, yeah, I'll sleep with you straight away, let's go. And obviously shame on the man for as well for that one. And then this Samantha, who we thought was going to be this fierce, fun female, turns out to marry Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Bruce Jenner's been quite an arsehole, actually, throughout the majority of the film. So that's disappointing.
So that's your happy ending. And then village people perform the title song of the film. And my last note says this film can fuck off. And I still stand by it.
So we get... this headache. Their final performance is in this club, which is quite clearly...
An arena.
But quite clearly a gay club.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of men with big moustaches, construction hats on. Very few women. But it's meant in the script, in the plot, it's meant to be some sort of fundraiser. That Bruce Jenner's mum's organised. And it can't stop the music. And it doesn't really stop because the song goes on and on and on and on.
Fucking ages.
For ages. And
and that's it.
And then that's the end of
Thank fucking God. Worst film I've ever seen in my entire life. No exaggeration. It's just bullshit.
It's awful because it feels like you've had two screenwriters write a script. They've been given a general plot and say, oh, you write a script and then you write a script as well and we'll see which one's better. And they're like, can't decide. So we're just going to merge both of them together in some haphazard way. No, I don't know if this is actually what happened. It's just what it feels like. And hope for the best. See what happens. And then what you get is these characters who are so bipolar. You get a screenplay about the village people where the village people don't exist for half the film. The village people as a whole only perform...
About 3 songs.
3 songs.
4 maybe, maximum.
It's a film about the village people that isn't actually even about the village people. It's mainly about this Sam woman, really, and Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Awful, like truly awful. And do you know what I really don't understand? Is that the village people, were they even that successful to warrant a $20 million film about them?
Not that I could think of. I mean, as far as I know, they're only well known for like 2-3 songs.
Yeah, so I think they had 3 hits before this song came out.
This song?
This film came out. It's the dying days of disco. Yeah, and I love disco music. But, you know, by 1980, there was quite a backlash against it. For right or wrong reasons. But there was a backlash against it because there's a lot of racism and homophobia, really, is the main cause of that backlash. And also because the quality wasn't as good as it was during the 70s. But I find it strange that after sort of 3 hits, they would spend $20 million on a film about them. That'd be like today, them doing a film about Dua Lipa. You know? You wouldn't get that.
No.
Sorry, I just found that really
It is weird.
It
It is really weird. And the film shouldn't exist. It's fucking bullshit. And we should probably burn the DVD now.
Yeah. I will never watch that again.
Yeah. So, thanks for sticking with us. At least you don't have to watch these films now. Listen to us talk about them, and don't watch them. Can't recommend them at all. If you want to, be it on your own head.
Listen to the Xanadu soundtrack.
Don't listen to the Can't Stop the Music soundtrack.
Oh, fuck no. That is the only thing I would recommend is listen to that Xanadu soundtrack. Because I probably will tomorrow. Might do it tonight. But yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So next week is a request week. Thank God. We are talking about...
Do you want to know... Sorry, did you not want to know what Razzies, the Can't Stop the Music one?
Yeah, should have been all of them, but...
So it won for Worst Picture. It was up against Cruising and Friday the 13th, which I find strange. It was nominated for Worst Actress, Valerie Perrine. Worst Actor for Bruce Jenner, very understandable. Worst Supporting Actress for the woman who played Lulu. Worst Director for Nancy Walker. Also nominated for Worst Director that year was Stanley Kubrick for The Shining.
Unbelievable.
And Brian De Palma for Dressed to Kill.
Makes no sense.
No, that is the really weird first year of the Razzies, to be fair. These two are very justified, but fucking hell. Brian De Palma for Dressed to Kill. Fucking love Dressed to Kill. Shelley Duvall for Worst Actress. Fuck off. It won for Worst Screenplay. Very, very understandable, that one.
What, Can't Stop the Music? Or the
Can't Stop the Music won for Worst Screenplay. Very understandable. And it was nominated for Worst Original Song for not the Milkshake Song.
What?
But You Can't Stop the Music.
Ugh. Okay, now I just want to pretend that these two films don't exist. So next week is a request episode. Request from our listener and my good friend Xander. It's Alien Abduction, also known as Instant in Lake County or the McPherson Tape. It's a film that's a mixture of fairly decent and so bad it's good. But either way, Chris isn't a fan, but either way, there's no denying that it's a fucking 1,000 times better than both of these films put together. But yeah, so we'll be talking about that next week. Yeah, my mind is blown.
I feel like these films, this double bill, has taken part of us.
I feel exhausted.
I feel like maybe we should have slept on it a little bit.
I kind of want to recommend it to the Movies So Bad They're Good podcast, but I don't want to sit through it. I don't want anyone to have to sit through that shit. Anyway, maybe let's wrap it up. So, yes, we'll be a lot more awake next week after not sitting through 2 shit films.
No, just one.
Check us out on social media. Horror Court Trash over on Facebook and Instagram. Horror Court Trash on Twitter. I'm Gazmo205 on Instagram. GazCruise92 on Twitter.
I am Chris Barker823 on both Twitter and Instagram.
And if you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It is a massive help to us. Helps us get out there a lot more. Everything else, just give us a like and a follow. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. That's about it.
Yeah.
So we will see you same time, same place again next week.
Bye.